Welcome to Southwest Florida Real Estate Update, hosted by area realtor Jim York and York Real Estate Group of Downing Fry Realty. Our show will bring you the most up-to-date information about the local real estate market, featuring leading experts in the real estate field.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Southwest Florida Real Estate Update. Today with our host Jim York and his guest Pat Pitocchi of Downing Fry Realty.
Thank you, Michael, for the introduction. Pat, again, thank you for coming again.
Thank you for asking me, Jim.
Why don't we just give our audience a little background on yourself? I know you have some extensive experience in the real estate industry.
Okay. Actually, I have been in this market in Naples about 10 years, and most of my own first-hand experience as a sales associate and a broker associate was in the international market. I was an international realtor and coordinated and led a team of 4. Most of our business actually was out of the country, and that was really done during the years when that was fairly new or non-existent. It was considered odd and rather eccentric. It was great because it combined my own loves of travel and languages and real estate. So we did that for a number of years. I then ran a brokerage as a broker, and then slowly was drawn back in because I had been an educator for 30 years before going into real estate. I sort of drawn back into the real estate education or teaching element, so became a trainer, which I do enjoy and love, and really have stayed with that. And actually do both now. I'm very fortunate. My job allows me to coordinate the training program for a large brokerage, but also they allow me to list or sell if I so choose.
Well, that's great. That is Downing Fry.
That is Downing Fry.
our home company.
Our home company and the company that we believe dominates the market.
Exactly. And you're past president of our board. What role do you play now in that?
This year, I was president last year in 2014, right. And really started that year with the mission that any president would have, which is to end the year with NABOR in a better position in many elements, both financially as well as in terms of its reputation and its productivity. I think we did that, and I focused on 4 goals, Jim. One was professionalism through education, because I believe this whole profession now is really a knowledge-based profession. You must know something. Actually, you must know a great deal in order to perform and provide the service for your customer that you need to. I also focused on communication, both internally within NABOR and externally, and put into place a couple of new ideas which allowed members to be able to contact me, because that had never been done before at NABOR. I then also focused on the global market, because that is not only my background, but that is a growing trend in our business. And finally focused on planning strategically, so I led a strategic planning movement. In 2014, we did the first phase of that, which is to generate a strategic plan. And in terms of your question, following up, in terms of 2015, the board has asked me to continue with that into phase 2, which is generating the implementation plan, because a strategic plan is wonderful. However, if you don't have an implementation plan, you don't do it. It's like drawing plans to build a house and putting them on the shelf. You then need to go out and get the implementation phase with contractors done. So that is what they've asked me to work on, plus to remain working in the media relations realm, so that I would chair the committee that crunches the numbers and makes the reports to help our realtors serve customers. So those are the 2 main focus points for me for this year.
You've done a wonderful job last year, and
I
continue.
Appreciate that.
Maybe just touch base on Mike Hughes, our general manager, president of our company, is now the current president.
Yes.
Could you just enlighten our viewers what maybe his goal is in the world this year in 2015?
Absolutely. First of all, Mike was my president-elect, so I was very, very fortunate because he is not only a man who accomplishes things, he's a man of integrity.
That's right.
And I think that that's character and integrity are something that really are not replaceable. So I was very fortunate to be able to work closely with Mike. We used to joke that at the board I was his boss, and at the company he was my boss, and we would sort of joke about that. This year, whatever Mike needs or asks me to do, I would stand ready to do that and to whatever. But his goals sort of focus on continuing, coordinating, and interacting with other boards, particularly in District 5. Because during 2014, we began our District 5 MLS component, which means we share data. We do not have one database, but we share data amongst 4 boards, and we work closely with those boards. And one of Mike's goals is to continue that and improve that, and possibly expand that whenever we can in a very, just in a very cooperative way. So that's really, I think, his main goal is to continue having good relationships with the other boards, support each other, and whenever possible, to make some more improvements that will serve all of our members. We have about 4,800 Realtor members right now as of today at NABOR, but the Southwest Florida MLS system with the 4 boards combined total about 10,000 users. So we all need to get along well and coordinate well and make certain we're doing the best we can for the consumers and for our realtors to serve those consumers.
In short, what does the board, how does it help the public?
I think the board helps in many ways. Some of them are direct, I would say, and some are indirect. For example, I think the indirect way the board helps the public is to really focus on accuracy in the MLS, which is the lifeblood of our occupation.
Right.
So that we have accurate information for the public, and we are committed to that. Secondly, we are totally committed to improve constantly the productivity and professionalism of our members, and I think that indirectly helps the public. We want all of our realtor members to make certain their business practices are ethical and professional and as fine as they can be. And we run a very, very broad-based education program to try to help our members stay current with everything. It's such a fast-paced world that the board has an obligation to go ahead and do that. As far as direct connections with the public, we have many committees that do outreach. For example, during 2014, we were able to, through our committees' hard work, we were able to give about $30,000 to worthy causes, needy causes in our community, and those are sort of direct, sort of cooperation with those entities. We also run a family fun day, for example, to try to give back to the community that does so much. And then overall, I think the advocacy that we do is both directly and indirectly related to the consumers, because we are the advocates for private property rights.
Right.
And everyone profits from private property rights being guarded, even people who don't have the time to go out and do that sort of advocacy. That is our bread and butter, so we perform that not only for us to protect our industry, but for the good of all property owners in Collier County.
Okay, well, let's go into the real estate market.
Sure.
So last week I read in the paper that prices have increased 25%. So maybe for our viewers you can explain that, because I'm not sure in every area it has increased 25%.
Well, I think that's extremely important to mention, Jim.
That's right.
The first statement I always make is, our market is like a quilt,
Exactly.
like the squares on a quilt.
Right.
Every area is different. If you drive along Gulf Shore Boulevard, every tower is different appreciation rates, different values, different closed sale, statistics, and so on.
Right.
So I find it very, very difficult to come up with any sweeping statement like that, and I think it's very dangerous, because if I read the paper, I think, well, that means my house is worth 25% more.
Right.
No, it does not. You and I both understand that.
We understand that,
and we'd like the public to understand that. It's very, very difficult. It's very nice to come up with those hard figures, but overall last year, we feel, let me give you a few statistics so you can kind of put it in perspective. I dug around because I love data, so stop me if it's too boring.
No, that's good, that's good, that's good.
In March of 2007, we had the highest inventory in our MLS system.
That's right.
12,440 active units for sale. In May of 2014, which is a little over 7 years afterwards, we had the lowest inventory, which was 3,919. At the end of 2014, we had a count of 4,351. So basically, we had this, as you all know, 2007 was not only an anomaly, but if you were here then, it was just crazy.
Right.
We had over 12,000 units for sale. From then it dipped down, down, down to the low of 3,900, and it's starting to rise slightly above that, but it's sort of stabilizing between 4,000 and 4,500. So we are selling at the same rate we are, pouring water in, and there's a leak at the bottom of the bucket. So it's kind of stabilizing now around that figure. So I think that's really interesting, though, to see the phases. So we go from the peak to the trough, and then we're coming back up into a new normal, perhaps. The other fact is, in April of 2007, we had 24.78 months of inventory, which is almost 3 years. The lowest inventory we had was July of 2014, with 4.45 months. At the end of December, we closed with 5.12 months. So again, you can see little shifts. And for us, the only question this inventory, or the shortage, prompts is, no one knows why we're not experiencing more widespread appreciation, because the laws of supply and demand would seem to indicate that we should, but we do believe it's more related to the economics behind it and the fact that there's stabilization, but there's also still a little bit of fear. People don't want to, overstep. So I think those inventory stats are interesting.
They're very interesting.
To see the trend, anyway.
We're going to go on with that, okay, in 1 minute. But we're going to take a break right here for 1 minute, and we'll be right back with Pat.
When picking a realtor, don't just pick anyone. Pick someone with experience. Pick someone with a proven track record. Pick a realtor like Jim York from Downing Fry Realty, the #1 brokerage with the most real estate transactions in the area.
My husband and I had very specific ideas about what we wanted in our new home. Jim York was able to help us find the home that was ideal for us.
With over 20 years of real estate experience in Southwest Florida, Jim York has negotiated over $200 million in sales contracts. Selecting the right realtor is a critical decision that can earn you thousands when selling or save you thousands when buying.
Jim also helped us with a mortgage lender and a good real estate attorney. He went that extra mile, and his experience says it all.
Call Jim York for a no-obligation meeting at 239-273-6727 or visit his website, www.naplesyorkrealestate.com.
Welcome back. Pat, last week we had Mr. Brock on, so what I wanted to do is relate that to you of what his figures were. In 2007, there was over 8,000 foreclosures in Collier County, and what you're saying is we had 12,000 listings, inventory of that. And then last year we had approximately, he said, 1,000 foreclosures in the county, and this year he's predicting under 600. So, you know, what I'm saying is that when we had a lot of foreclosures, the inventory went up. I also think that relates to the pricing that we're seeing, because there are a lot of foreclosures that were 100,000, 200,000 selling. So that market is completely drying up. So obviously I think the prices are going to go, our average price is going to go higher, because you can't really buy much in Collier County now for $100,000 or $150,000. And the investors, I feel, are drying up too, because you can't flip the properties and make a profit like you could, you know, several years back. So that leads me to the question, in your newspaper article you said about high-end prices from $2 million and up. Maybe you could just tell our audience about what the statistics are in pricing in that area.
Sure. First, let me just comment that we do track what we call traditional sales and non-traditional sales. The foreclosures and short sales are non-traditional. And we are now somewhere around 9 or 10%. And we think that's normal, but since we never tracked them before, we don't know. But Dr. Yun, the chief economist for National Association of Realtors, is the one that predicts, that has predicted it almost as it happened, and he predicted the recovery of this market as it has happened, and he predicted that we would be around 10%, which he thinks is the normal. So that's
in Collier County.
In Collier County.
So let me just interrupt you there. Is that I think over years it's been about 65% people that paid cash for properties in Collier County.
It has.
It's
between 65 and 70.
That's right.
Sort of depends, which is a high average.
Very high average.
Much higher than national. So we're protected a little bit.
So in early 2000, just because I'm really familiar with these figures, in early 2000, the figures in foreclosures was only a couple hundred a year. So I'm not so sure to quote him, you follow me? That an average market is 9 to 10%.
Yeah, we really honestly don't know, and I don't think he does either. I mean, I think we're trying to make this up because it was such a marginal portion that we never really paid attention to it. So, but now we pay very close attention, and you're exactly right. The trend is going down, which is the correct direction.
Exactly,
So we're happy about that. And that counterbalances, you also brought up what we call bracket creep, because 0 to 300,000 is our lowest price point.
That's right,
And quite frankly, there's a lot of stress on that price point. There aren't that many options available in that price point. Now.
Not right now.
Not right now, and we're coming out of some years, as you said, when we had some more options. But we really do believe anything that was maybe listed a year and a half ago at $290 would now be in $325 or whatever.
Right. You're right.
So it's that bracket creep that we don't have tracking for that. We just know it's happening. It's like watching someone grow. You know they grow, but you don't measure them. The other flip side is the other end of our market, which has been soaring. The luxury market has just been soaring. For example, with pendings overall in 2014, pendings of resale properties in MLS were down 5%. However, the pendings in the $1 to $2 million condo market were up 11%. And the pendings in the $2 million plus single-family home market were up 28%. Those are startling numbers.
Exactly.
Although those are smaller sectors in terms of volume.
So it could be,
So anytime we have a percentage, you and I both know if we have two numbers, it looks different from having 200 numbers. But the same thing happened with closed sales in 2014. The luxury market just soared. With single-family homes, it was up from 1 to 2 million, 21%. 2 million and above, single-family homes were up 45%. And condos 1 to 2 million were up 20%. So That market was booming, and we do a lot of theorizing about why. Florida Realtors, NAR, and our local board all believe it's related to lots of factors. The economy is one. People are diversifying back into real estate.
Right.
These are still bargains, essentially. All of those factors come into play along with the aging baby boomers. We have more and more people who are reaching the point in their lives that they'd like to be here. They'd like to shovel sand at the beach, not snow up north. So all of those factors combined, plus our international sales are strong here and growing.
So let's just talk about that a little bit more. Where do you see the international sales? Where are the people coming from?
Well,
I just sold a client from Norway.
Right.
Can you believe it? Norway.
Well, you know, we love it.
I know.
We love it and they love it. We track where they come from. We don't have complete data, we don't think, because we just started tracking country of origin. But nationally speaking, and we follow the national trend, Canada's number one, about a third of the business.
Right.
Western Europe is about 25%, 24%. Latin America is about 23%. That's where I did most of my business, Brazil and Argentina. Asia's 10% and growing nationally. For us, the startling statistics are that nationally, 46.7 billion US dollars were spent from by non-US citizens on real estate. 46.7. That translated to 7.97 billion with a B in Florida. So we get 17% of that nationally.
Right.
Inside Florida, we get, we think we get the Naples, Marco Island area. We get about 7% of the total Florida foreign direct investment dollars. Following, of course, people know about Orlando because
Disney
we can't
World,
compete.
right,
We
exactly.
can't compete with Mickey Mouse.
No.
I don't think we'll ever be able to.
Beaches can.
The beaches can. And we've now been discovered, I think, because Miami is boomed,
That's
but
right.
we're not far. And it's a different feel. Miami is wonderful,
Right.
but it's more a city feel, whereas Naples is a little less urbanized.
Right.
So I think we've been discovered. The other factor that's compelling is that international buyers tend to pay more than U.S. buyers in terms of the mean.
Right.
In 2014, global buyers spent on average $300,000, as contrasted with $246,000 was the mean nationally for U.S. buyers. So they pay more money.
Right.
They love it here. We believe it's affordable compared or contrasted with their own cultures. It's a safe haven for their money because many people who are coming here fear leaving too much money in their own home country. And it's just wonderful and enjoyable, so why wouldn't they come? We're now planning to do we do trade missions to the countries to try to spur interest. And our goal is to make certain that our members know how to serve our international folks well. As you said, they're wonderful folks.
Yep.
They love the country, and we love having them come, and they bring cash.
They do.
And they spend money, and they add, I think, a richness to our whole environment.
Yep, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Pat, we're going to take a little short break here, and we'll be back in 1 minute.
Selecting the right realtor is a critical decision that can earn you thousands when selling.
Jim sold our villa in just 2 days. We got the highest price in the community. He then helped us to negotiate and purchase our new home here in Tiburon. I'd recommend Jim. His expertise made all the difference.
Call Jim York for a no-obligation meeting at 239-273-6727 or visit his website, www.naplesyorkrealestate.com.
Welcome back. Pat, we're going to go to Michael here, an audience here, and he's going to ask you a question. So, Michael,
Pat, what trends do you see occurring in 2015 that would be different from 2014?
Well, Jim and Michael, the main issue, I think, is to watch trends. I think that's really the important statistic to watch. An individual statistic is interesting, but you really need the trend. And the trends that I think we need to keep an eye on in 2015 is the trend for new construction. We have about 12,000 units coming out of the ground the East or South Naples area, whatever you prefer. Those are residential units. In addition to that, we have numerous commercial space coming out of the ground, so to speak, and these are permitted already. So that corridor of Collier Boulevard, once known as 951, is going to be a hub of bustling work. And I think we all need to make sure we are on top of that. So that's one trend. That new construction for us at NABOR means we need to find a way to be able to incorporate some of that data into our database so we can give accurate pictures. We think between 22 and 30% of the business in 2014 was new construction that did not come through our MLS. Because people deal directly with developers, often with a realtor. However, it doesn't come through MLS as a listing. So we're trying to find a way to deal with that. The second trend I think we need to watch is the advocacy surrounding the issues of flood insurance, which really just delayed, was not resolved, and that will have a very significant effect for us and for our customers and for our property owners. So we really need to keep an eye on that. And thirdly, I think we need to watch the international market because it is growing each year here. So we need to make certain that we accommodate and with open arms, I think, and are very welcoming to folks who maybe are not U.S. citizens. So our population and our culture may change, and that may not be what absolutely everyone wants. But I think it will be just a different feel.
It's good for the community.
I think it is. I think it adds really a richness. When you walk down Fifth Avenue in Old Naples, you hear many languages now.
That's right.
And sometimes you may not even recognize what language it is, but I think that is growing. And I think that that adds a really nice cosmopolitan sort of flavor to Naples. So I think we need to watch that as a trend. And lastly, I think we need to watch the loss of individual MLSs. There's a growing concern around data and who has the data and is it accurate. For example, non-real estate websites like Zillow and Trulia, they are not real estate websites.
No, they're
not. They simply aggregate the data and report it, and their #1 goal is not accuracy. And they will state that. And that's their business model. That's fine. Our #1 goal is accuracy because we want accuracy. So I think we need to take a look at that kind of trend because it's changing our business model sometimes. And we're really, it's a very exciting time, I think. It's kind of like the Renaissance again because 5 years from now, the world will really look different, and this business will look different. However, we will always need, and we need very much today, particularly with the kind of quilt-like market we have, consumers need an experienced, professional, knowledgeable realtor to help them navigate this really confusing overload of information and misinformation. I think it makes us even more needed. So. I think we'll have a very good 2015, but we do need to watch those trends.
Well, Pat, I want to thank you for coming, and I'll tell you, you're, with all the knowledge you have, it's really helped our viewers and myself, and that, thank you for your service for our company, Downing Fry, and the board.
My pleasure, Jim, and thank you for all you do. I think it's wonderful that you help the consumers understand these pieces of info.
Thanks, Pat.